All right, welcome to Problem Solver Politics. I'm your host, Cardin Ellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And today we got a big, deep, burning question. Did Andrew Yang fire a woman for getting married? We actually talked about this on our Thursday live stream, but there's been additional articles that have been made concerning an accusation that was levied laid out in the Gotham Gazette last week from a woman who claims that behind closed doors, upon her getting married and returning from her honeymoon, she said she was fired, not for incompetence, not for any other reason, but the fact that she was a woman who had gotten married. Serious accusations to make in this kind of like whole, hashtag Me Too era. So it's obviously generated a lot of controversy and so on and so forth. So we're going to analyze this, try and dig to the bottom of what's going on. Cody, tell us what's happening.
Well, I guess, like you said, this all started with a opinion piece that was published. I believe it was in Gotham Gazette. Now, Kimberly Watkins is a woman, and she's alleging that basically Andrew Yang pulled her into the office and said, "Hey, because you're married, I don't think you're going to want to work as hard, so we'll come to an agreement." We'll get to the agreement they come to in a little bit as well. And she actually hints at it, saying, "I was Andrew Yang's first Freedom Dividend recipient when he fired me."
Oh, yeah. That was like...
Now, I don't like getting into just objectively reading the document this woman published. This is the first paragraph, just to give you an idea of what exactly we're talking about here. First paragraph. After the game show stunt that Andrew Yang pulled to the presidential primary debate last week, a lot of people have speculated that he should and will drop out of the race soon. But there is another reason why Andrew Yang doesn't belong in the national political stage, and it involves the reason that Yang fired me in 2007 and how my termination highlights the dangers of his Freedom Dividend program. Off the bat, when I read something like that, it tells me this person doesn't like Andrew Yang and clearly doesn't agree with him on much, so it's kind of hard to take her opinions as serious.
I was going to say, that's a tough way to open it, and like also...
Because Andrew Yang's a stupid idiot whose plans are dumb. By the way,
everybody's going to stop voting for him. Yeah, he's going to drop out of the national race, even though him and Elizabeth Warren are the only people that are trending upwards.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't want to get too far into it. I'm just saying, it's not the kind of way that if I was like, hey, look, I'm not... I don't want...
By the way, are you victim blaming? You're victim blaming.
No, I'm just trying to...
It's a shame.
I'm just trying to fully color exactly what we're seeing here. I'm just reading the words of this individual, and it seems like, the first sentence calls his appearance a game show stunt. So clearly this person doesn't like him very much. Anyway, it's not that long of a piece. I don't want to go through the whole piece. However, here is the big thing. So imagine my surprise then that on the third day that I was back to work after my honeymoon in 2007. Oh, sorry. Let me present it for you guys a little bit. There we go. Andrew Yang fired me. Our private discussion in his office with the doors closed began with Andrew's remarks that because I was married, I wouldn't want to continue working as hard as I had been, that as a wife, I'd be focused on my new life. At-will employees let go all the time. I could be fired at any time without a reason, so there's no illegality behind why he fired her, even in her own admission.
It's all at-will employment.
But Andrew gave me a reason I didn't even realize at the time how unethical his reason was. Okay. I singularly focused on the embarrassment I felt. How could he fire me after all that I had accomplished at the company, and the horror I felt knowing that I have to tell my new husband that our life was shattered? He made less than 15% what I did. Andrew must have calculated that I would work with. Andrew must have. I love that. You know what? I was guilty of doing it a few seconds ago. That's why I always try to be so careful. Like, oh, really? You know what? I think I know what he was thinking. Whatever. I'm not going to get into it. Anyway. She goes on to say that she actually brings up the probably real reason why she was fired, which is right here, where she says, here we go. He probably thought that they would do the work. Oh, no. Andrew must have calculated that I would work less, travel less, and put in fewer hours as a married woman, yet still earned my bonus. He had seen how seamlessly my staff had performed while I was on my honeymoon. Yes, if his employees prove your role is unnecessary, that is perhaps what actually happened here. However... now, she says this is him couching it as a freedom to move on narrative. The deal Andrew offered me was commensurate with what he believes I deserved, a monthly payment for no longer working for 2 years. I agreed in the end, part of a much longer story. Oh, she doesn't elaborate. To go away, take the monthly payoff, which paved the way for the company to develop more sophisticated money-making initiatives at cheaper costs. It sounds like she got cut for cost, and Andrew, this is again, I'm just saying this is a perspective from the story I've been told. I don't want to get into if someone's lying or not. Who knows if they're lying, right? Perspective I'm hearing, it sounds like she left for a while on a honeymoon, and Andrew's like, hold on a minute. Do we even need her? And then when she came back, probably saw her for a few days and realized around the office, he was like, hey, look, I'm playing. Like, I don't, like, he could have just been nice. He could have been like, look, we don't need you anymore, so you're at will. have fun finding a new job. But instead, he says, "Look, I don't think it's the right." It sounds like.
Well, here's
it
the other
sounds
thing.
like.
Have you ever fired anybody?
That's what I mean. It sounds like he fired her by saying, "Hey, look, it's not all your performance. I think it could be some other stuff. I have an idea. I'll pay you monthly for the next 2 years to transition to your new role." Where he probably could have been a bit more crude. Before I get back to you, just really quickly, I want to throw in Andrew's comment just so we have the full story. So one asked for comment. This is what Andrew Yang responded. I believe this was the Huffington Post. He made this response. As a CEO, I made decisions about hiring and firing singularly based on performance. Kimberly Watkins' facts about her break from Manhattan Pep are inaccurate. During my more than a decade as CEO, I have worked with many women, married and otherwise, and valued their work and dedication as important to the success of any institution. If I were the kind of leader who would do the sort of thing described by Mrs. Watkins, I would never enjoy a whiff of success. Women leaders are vital to any company or organization, and I have been very fortunate and grateful to have worked with them in my career. It's just weird to me because by her own admission, she apparently was no longer needed. That's the only weird thing.
Yeah, and this is my only I guess frustration, reservation that you have with these kind of stories is that it's no joke that we like Andrew Yang, and part of that is his temperament, and it's very difficult to believe, having kind of basically gotten to know him a lot better, if not personally, but understanding his temperament and behind the scenes situations and so on and so forth. It seems difficult to believe that somebody with such a well-measured temperament would do something irrational. And firing a woman just because she's a woman and she got married is irrational. At the same token, in my lifetime, there has been people that have blown my mind where I thought they were amazing, and you find out that behind the scenes they're secretly doing X, Y, or Z thing, right? So I am totally deferring to evidence in a case like this. I try not to get emotional behind it about what I know about the person or the place or the persons, and I just try and become evidence-based. And the only problem that I have with stories like this and with this whole, accusing men of impropriety thing and this whole Me Too era and so on and so forth, is that especially in terms of employment, and especially like corporate employment that's managed by like these big HR divisions and things like that, I can fire somebody and I can't speak to anybody outside of basically their immediate supervisors and the HR specialist about the specific case and their behavior, and only behavior unique to that case. That's all I can talk about, or else I'm in violation of serious labor law. Okay? Now, the employee can levy any accusation they want. They can go to all the newspaper outlets and they could say, this person fired me because I'm a woman, or because I'm Mexican, or because I'm Catholic, or I'm Jewish. And they can say behind closed doors, he called me X, Y, Z, B, and it can spread like wildfire, the accusation over the headlines. The truth of the story may be, hey, if the boss could unmuzzle himself and were allowed to defend himself in the arena of public ideas, he might come out and say, yeah, look, she had sustained a significant opioid addiction while there. She was a high functioning addict, but it started getting in her way. I'm just making a hypothetical story, not this woman. But I'm saying, we told her to go rehab. We offered to pay for it. We drug tested her twice and kind of turned a blind eye. But finally on the third time, we're like, no, I'm sorry, we can't do this. It's getting in the way of your work. I'm sorry, we have to let you go. We love you, but we have to let you go. Okay. He's not allowed to say that. He's not. So the only thing he can come out is give the really weak excuse of, well, those accusations are untrue. And so you've got a 20-page accusation full of all kinds of lurid details, and the only thing you're allowed to say in defense of it is like, oh, that's not true. And the other thing is, if you've ever fired somebody, you don't want to look them in the eye and say, look, you're a loser, bro. You have a horrible attitude. And personally, I don't think you're going anywhere in life. No, you sit down and you say, look, it's just not working out. And I know you're really busy with these other things that you want to do. So maybe you should focus on those things. And this will give you a chance to focus on those things. You always euphemize it because you want to be a nice person. You want to be a courteous, cordial person. And I don't know if that necessarily makes you improper or whatnot, but I just feel like before I pass judgment on this, I would want to know more. And I don't know, I would say I doubt it, but I would want to know more. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense, Cody?
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's just, you could say the nature of any he said, she said story, is that like, yeah.
Do you know what I think the greater implication of this is, though?
That he's finally getting big enough for hit pieces to come out in articles and random accusers to come up and start accusing him of things that maybe don't even make sense.
I did think that, but I thought, and maybe this is just because I'm approaching it with the psychology of an employer, this is absolutely why employers prefer robots over human employees. Stuff like this is every time you hire an employee, you are hiring a potential accident, a potential workers' comp claim, a potential lawsuit. You know what I'm saying? And more and more and more and more and more, it becomes easier and easier and easier and easier for human employees to do massive PR damage, massive infrastructural damage, massive whatever damage to a company, so much that this is the reason why you prefer a call center full of 5,000 computers and 5,000 artificially intelligent soft phone answerers over 5,000 human employees. Right here. This is a perfect example of why you want automation as an employer.
I mean, it's a good one, exactly. They don't get sick. They don't lie about you. They're not going to claim you inappropriately fired them. They don't have workman's comp. They have none of that. No, it is. People say, well, machines aren't going to be that cheap. It's like, well, there's a lot of hidden costs with human beings. Trust me, man. They add up. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, like we said, it's pure allegations. It's this woman, Mrs. Watkins, said Andrew Yang fired me because I was married. And Andrew Yang said, no, I didn't. I wish I could give you guys more of the story, but realistically, she said, yes, she did. He said, no, I didn't. And that's kind of what we have. The only thing I would say is that, like I said, just going back to the woman's original piece, it does definitely sound like whoever wrote that was, at the very least, not a fan of the guy. Now, if you think he did it, but there's some language in here that gets a little bit weird. I believe at one point she says that he economically violated her. It's like, if he fired you,
that's not economic violation.
While you were working as an at-will employee and then offered to give you a 2-year severance package of monthly payments, like, I don't know, man. Like, I could see one
this
thing.
This actually seems like a very generous firing.
I could see one thing if he pulled her in and said, look, we don't need you anymore. You're out of here. Good luck finding a job tomorrow.
That would be a total DICK move.
But there's just, for whatever reason, letting go an employee who by her own admission says that no one needed me when I was gone. I mean, I don't know. That's... Again, we don't know anything. It's literally just one person says one person says the other. I'm not going to get into who's lying and who isn't. All I will say is it definitely sounds like there's a little bit of the language used by the accuser is definitely a bit
charged. Yeah,
like they seem like they don't like the guy, which generally speaking, accusers don't like who they're accusing. But at a certain level, it does make me think like, well, if you hate, if you think Andrew Yang's a jerk, then you probably are going to perceive everything he does as being a jerk. So. That's all we got to say on that. Anything else you got to
say? No, that's it. Other than something that really, I appreciate what Andrew Yang said recently, and maybe this is a little bit more appropriate for the stream, so I'll keep it short. But even in this conversation, like I love what Andrew Yang said, how our cancel culture has gotten so bad that people feel muzzled because they're afraid of saying one thing. Even in this conversation in my mind, I've thought 15 different ways that somebody could call us, victim blamers, not believing women, all kinds of just horrible things. And you just have to rise above it because that's how thick our cancel culture has gotten. So I would like to know more. I would like to see more. If this is an accusation, I'd like to see measurable quantifiers. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe that's impossible to do, but
it's a unrecorded backdoor meeting. She says
are there other complaints similar to this?
That could be evidence. She also goes on to mention in here along the lines, and this is the other reason why I still want to hold off on passing too much judgment, where she says something along the line. Here we go. Where she says, I agreed in the end, part of a much longer story, to go away and take the monthly payoff. What much larger story? It seems to me not everything's out yet. I just want to, and people are talking about it, looking at the data. Andrew Yang appears to be guilty of absolutely nothing. He stands accused of maybe being too nice when he fired someone. Perhaps he should have said, look, we don't need you, leave. And maybe if he had said that, she wouldn't be saying this now, but who knows, right?
Yeah. So anyway, basically just let us know what you guys think. I kind of just reserve judgments on things that I just don't feel capable of judging because I don't have enough information. So I I don't have a judgment on this one. I'm going to work us on focusing my energies on things that I can judge on, like the UBI and the freedom dividend, so on and so forth. But let us know what you guys think. If there's any new information that you guys know of that maybe we haven't addressed yet, by all means, show us. But yeah, that's all I got to say on this. Anyway, we're going to be streaming tomorrow, so make sure that you guys join us on Twitch. If you haven't joined us on Twitter yet, we have a lot of interactions with our fans and get ideas for our different videos, and also give announcements and things like that on our Twitter feed. So make sure that you follow us on Twitter at PSP Radio. Is it PSP Radio 1 or PSP Radio, Cody? I'm forgetting all my handles. It's PSP Radio 1 on Twitter, okay? Make sure that you follow us on YouTube.
Everything will be linked in the descriptions.
Yeah, everything's going to be linked in the descriptions. And make sure that if you guys got Amazon Prime, you give us a follow on Twitch. You get 1 free Twitch subscription on Twitch, and hang out with us there on Tuesdays and Thursdays when we live stream. This is Problem Solver Politics. We'll see you guys in the next video.